Hi everybody, and welcome to the first in a potentially infinite number of Sonic sermons. Now, this is going to be a regular item where I basically probably have a bit of a rant, so you have been warned. Today, we're going to talk about a very well-known adage in the audio industry, and if the kids are listening, I suggest that maybe you send them out of the room, because this sermon is called Shit In and Shit Out. Now, it's a well-known adage amongst the sound engineers, but fundamentally, it's all about one thing. It's all about the fact that all we do as sound engineers is make stuff louder. So you, as the person who's making that noise, and that could be anything from a drummer to a bagpipe player to a man standing at a lectern talking, or a pastor in a church, or whatever it could be, anything. If that sounds garbage, then when it comes out of the sound system, it's only going to sound like garbage, but much louder. And that's a huge issue, because many people think that, we can make it sound great no matter how awful it is to start with, and that just is not true. So I'd like to appeal to all you musicians out there, first and foremost. If you care about how you sound through a sound system, and trust me, you really should, then you need to listen up. You need to understand that whatever you plug in, or whatever you sing into, is only ever going to be as good as the sound that thing is making. So what I'm talking about here is, let's take, for example, an acoustic guitar. Now, acoustic guitars have had pickups for a long time. And let's face it, it's not until fairly recently that they've actually started to sound really good. And there are thousands of guitars out there with pickups in them of various different types that sound like breaking glass. I'm thinking of all the 90s Takamine guitars, and I once spent an evening at a Bruce Springsteen concert where he had about 20 Takamines on stage, all with different tunings and things. It was, I think, the Ghost of Tom Joad album tour. And the guitars were just unlistenable. It sounded like somebody was smashing up a greenhouse. And it was really upsetting, because it was hard work to listen to and unpleasant. And for a sound engineer to try and cope with that, it's very difficult, because you actually end up destroying the intelligibility in the guitar, the thing that defines the notes that you're making. You end up destroying that in order to actually stop it ripping people's heads off. There's one example. Speech. Well, no, let's take singing. Singing. Okay. You think you can sing? Brilliant. If you can sing, I'm very happy for you. But make sure that what you're singing is as obviously tuneful and powerful as possible. Now, I, in the 90s, spent a few miserable weeks mixing front of house for the first tour of a girl band. And there were two really big girl bands around at the time. One was the Spice Girls, and this was the other one. And I won't mention any names because it's not fair, but you can probably ascertain who I'm talking about. Now, these girls, all very lovely, and the songwriter was pretty talented. But, they'd done their thing in the studio, and they had an album out, and it was hugely successful, and everybody wanted to go and see them live. Fact is, they can stand and sing into a microphone in the studio, and you're pretty much in a situation where you can do whatever you want with that. But if you are singing into a microphone in a live situation, and you're not delivering, you're not providing that acoustic power first and foremost, out of your mouth before it goes into the microphone, then it's going to be a big problem for the likes of me, you guys, maybe whoever's out there trying to make it sound good. This was a nightmare, because they wanted to be perceived as being really loud and powerful, and it was impossible. You just open up the vocal mics and it would just feed back, and there was nothing coming out of their mouths whatsoever. They made a comeback recently. I don't know if they actually went on the road. I think they might have done, but I pity the person who had to deal with that. Anyway, moving on. I was working with some students from a music college, and for the final sort of highlight of the culmination of their year, they were playing on a small festival stage. The college had a whole stage for themselves, and I was doing some mentoring for the sound engineering students and trying to help them get through the day. Loads of bands, lots of things to think about, lots of busy things. And there were a vast range of different acts. Some of them absolutely brilliant, and some of them not so, but then that's what you might expect. But one thing that I was utterly staggered by, and bearing in mind these were music students, one thing I was utterly staggered by was the fact that many of them turned up and walked on stage with guitars, and they were out of tune. And this didn't seem to be a problem. There wasn't oh, sorry, hang on a minute, I'm going to put this guitar in tune so you can all enjoy the performance. No, they just went on and played, and it sounded like a zoo burning down naturally. So my point here is, know your instrument, whether it's a voice, a guitar, a ukulele, or whatever it might be. Understand how that instrument works. Is it vibrating? Do you blow through it? Whatever it might be. And also, really important is trying to find a language where you can communicate to people what it is that you're hearing, or not, as the case may be, and how you would want somebody to actually make changes to what you sound like. Now, this is something we're going to be talking about in future sessions on the course when I finally get around to publishing it, which won't be long. And you'll be able to engage in that and hopefully learn a language that helps you get what you want from a sound system, because it's a tool. A sound system is a tool for you as a musician or a singer or somebody, a vicar in a church. It's a tool for you to get your message across. And like any tool, you have to know really as much as you can about using it in order to get the best out of it. That's the end of Sonic sermon number 1. And it's Monday. I hope everybody's happy, and stay tuned. See you all soon. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.